Welcome back to Broken Electronics. I'm Lee, and it's wonderful you could stop by on this fine day today for what is potentially two projects in one, both involving my main video editing setup, the 2010 5.1 Mac Pro. And I say the potential because Project 2 rather depends on a successful outcome to Project 1, which we don't know yet. Anyway, what the contents of this box will tell us a great deal about what we're about to do. This is from Retop, an Amazon purchase. And there's tape, but cleverly they've set it so there's a pull tab in there. No need to even cut it. All right. And we see foam. Yay. And a static-free box. A little static-free envelope here with what appear to be standoffs and a couple of screws. And then in here, well, it's going to be difficult for you to see, and getting into this bag is not the easy thing it might be. Well, we can use this screwdriver they've included to break into the bag. And we shall see it's a PCIe card. And if you look at it carefully, you will see that it is a dual NVMe controller card. Now, we've been here before. I attempted to put in a dual NVMe controller card without success. It would recognize one NVMe but not the other. I tried again with a rather inexpensive 4 NVMe controller card. Same situation. If I was lucky, one of the SSDs would actually register with the system. This would set me back about $120, which really, given the cost of these things, is not bad at all. Advertised specifically as Mac compatible, and one of the comments that I read in there specifically pointed out its compatibility with the classic Mac Pros. So we will attach SSDs here and affix them. Now, of course, since I have two such machines, I purchased two such cards, one of which I have already set up, ready to go. Now, there's a heatsink here, but there are no provided heat sinks for the NVMEs. You will notice, of course, I have heat sinks. Now, fortunately, Glowtrends, who make an excellent and very inexpensive single NVMe controller card, sell their heat sinks separately, along with the mounting hardware. So I very simply have used two of the Glowtrends heat sinks and assemblies, put them on the SSDs. Kind of a fiddly process to get these standoffs in place, and then the screws at the bottom. I used different screws. The ones that were included were so small it was really getting difficult to do. So in any event, the plan will be to shut the machine down now. Put this is going to have to go in the second PCIe lane. If you'll remember, the bottom PCIe lane is a 16 by. That's reserved for the graphics card that's in there. The one right above it, the second, is also a 16. This would require at least an 8 4x2 for each of the NVMEs to work properly. So it's going to have to go in that particular slot. Fortunately, at this point, that particular slot is empty. So we shall make those arrangements and be right back with you. Stay tuned. All right, I was going to put this on the tripod, but I discovered my tripod will not go low enough to show this unless I pull the whole thing out, and I don't really want to do that for such a relatively simple thing. This is the RX 580 graphics card, of course. Here is our new controller card. Right above it is the GlowTrends original controller card that has got the boot drive on it. And then finally up here we have a USB 3 card, and all of our slots are populated at this point. So I think the thing to do now, let me reconfigure, then we'll boot this thing up and see if it works. Stay tuned. All right, before I press the button, let me catch up with what's been going on here. I tried to boot this up. The plan had been that it would simply boot up and both NVMe drives on the card would be recognized. Plans don't always go as one had planned them. It wouldn't boot. I had to force restart a couple of times. It finally booted up, but only one of the drives showed up. I shut it down. I took out the drive that had showed up, booted it again. It booted right up, and sure enough, the other drive showed up. What I've done now, I've got the original drive back in that had showed up. That's the only drive on the new card. And let's see what happens when we boot up. There's the light. Fans come on. I'm sure it's counting up the RAM right now. There's our chime. And our boot manager showing Big Sur and Mojave, the two options. Looks like it's gonna fight me. Okay, let's try it again. Theoretically, it should just boot. And if I take out the new card, it will boot. But let's see. Back again. Oh, that's a stall too. That stinks. Right. Okay, this looks like it's going. I have a theory about what's going on. All right, and we are booting up. And here we are. Okay. So, ignore that. We have SPSSD, which is the boot drive on the GlowTrends single card. We have SPSSD 2, which is on the new card. Two identical drives, one of which is the boot drive and the other of which is blank. All right. And no matter what I do, I can't get two drives to boot up. Now, I have a theory, except it's not really a theory because theories have to be based on something. This is more like a hunch or maybe a wild guess. I think the system is having difficulty dealing with two separate NVMe controller cards, one single and one double. Now, my plan had been to install Monterey on the drive that's now appearing, SPSSD2, and then move ahead on Monterey. It's about time to do that anyway. And that would then save the Big Sur installation on its own card, just in case. So, since we're booted up here, checking for updates. You've been warning me about this update for months now. Oh, go away. Okay. All right. And it's now downloading. About an hour remaining. It won't be that long. Okay, so anyhow, the plan is to actually install Monterey not on the current boot drive, but on the new NVMe, SPSSD2, and then remove this drive, keeping it safe just as, kind of an extreme backup. It can be reused at a later point. Okay, now obviously we don't want to have you wait through 50 whatever minutes. It's not going to be that long. But anyhow, stay tuned. Okay, the download is done. So, set up the installation of macOS Monterey. Click Continue. Agree, agree. Let's show all disks. And we're going to go here. What we want to do here is a clean install of Monterey on this drive, and we will then use Migration Assistant. Okay. And here we go. All right. I would hope that this will be smooth, but then again, nothing has been smooth so far, so stay tuned. All right, it's been a while, but we're now inside a minute remaining on this screen, and of course then it's going to reboot and reboot and reboot. Okay, and here's our restart. Now the idea is we will install Monterey on this new drive as a clean install. Use Migration Assistant to move the data. Then reboot, removing the original boot drive, reinstalling the data drive on the dual card, and see if that boots. If not, well, we can always go back to the original boot drive. All right, stay tuned. So here we are in the install, seeing the verbose output. Probably no reason to do a whole lot of clips involved in this. I mean, this is just rolling along, unless something unusual happens. So stay tuned. Okay, this is the second stall in installing this. Try starting it again. Probably the wiser thing to do would be to create a USB installer, boot from that, and then restore from the Time Machine back up. Oh well. How else do we learn what works? Booting again from our new drive. And this looks good. Okay, stay tuned. Indeed, it looks good. Here we are at the setup screen. Okay, I'll go through this and then bring you back when we're done and at the desktop. Stay tuned.
Mac OS can.
Okay, we're not Migration Assistant, and we're going to choose Transfer Information from Mac. Oops, and that's when we're going to choose. All right. Now, this, of course, can take a while, quite a while, actually, but the advantage is we're going from one NVMe PCIe drive to another. That's about as fast as the system is going to do, so hopefully it won't take too long. Stay tuned. If we believe this, about 6 minutes remaining, and it's been zipping along, this is fantastic. So hopefully we'll be back soon. Stay tuned. Wow, I am so used to this taking like close to an hour. This was, I don't know, what, 10 minutes? I didn't time it. Probably should always time these things. All right, let's. I don't have a mouse cursor. Okay, there we go. So restarting now. I'm thinking most of the boot up will start over on this monitor. I may be wrong. Okay. This doesn't seem to have any issues so far. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, full disclosure, I did have to do a force off. Now we're back over here. Gosh. I love my dual monitors, but it does make recording these things strange. It's going to restart again. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, stay tuned. Okay, so migration is complete. Optimizing your Mac. Okay. All right, so I'll go through all this stuff. Stay tuned. Okay, here we are up and running Monterey. Believe me, I would love to just launch right into Because Other People right now. But we're not done. First of all, we need to open OpenCore Legacy Patcher. Build and install OpenCore. Why are you fighting me? Oh, install the disk, right. The newer versions are actually better, but okay. So we see here this is the current boot disk. It's already installed. So if we go here to disk 2, this should be the other. And my Apple Watch is asking me to approve. Okay. All right, there we go. Now we're not going to reboot right now. All right. What we need to do is to shut down, remove the original Big Sur PCIe card, install the second SSD to this current boot card, and see if it works. Stay tuned. Okay, by removing the original boot drive, obviously the OpenCore bootloader was no longer selected, so we're rebooting. I'm holding down the Option key. Fortunately, here we have a Mac flashed RX 580, so we should be good. So holding down the Option key. All right, and select the EFI bootloader. And this should work, hopefully. Are we really stuck? We would appear to be. Okay. So let's try it again. Okay, this looks better. Right, and here we are. Okay. So, unusual listing here. Storage HDD, that's the 16 terabyte JBOD. SP SATA is the Mojave drive. It's good to have that in there if things go wrong, as they just did. If it boots into Mojave, you know your system isn't messed up. Okay, SanDisk SSD is 4 terabytes JBOD of SATA SSD storage. And here's our boot drive. And here's our secondary drive. So it worked. All right. Obviously, this video has gone way longer than I intended. But we do have a working 2 NVMe drive in there with a second drive that can be our scratch disk. This sounds really good. Okay, obviously there's a lot of configuration I need to do with this system. Everything is looking good so far. It was time to upgrade to Monterey anyway. It had to happen eventually. So here we are. There'll be a follow-up video to this with some thoughts on how Monterey is working, on how the dual card is working. But until we get to there, now it's time. Be good to other people. They need to deserve. Be good to yourselves. Any good we do in this world needs to start from there. We can make this world a better place. It is not yet, so take very, very good and careful care. We will have actually a fair amount more Mac Pro content coming up. A lot more PowerPC content coming up. So, until such time as those things are available, this has been Broken Electronics.